Okay, I'm back. And I have all my papers scored and folded, and I've sorted them. This is going to be the outside of my signature, and this is going to be the middle page of my signature. So I've just sorted them somewhat, and I've also made sure when I scored and folded my papers to not fold them the same way. So some have the most pretty paint on the outside, and some have them on the inside to mix it up. So I'm gonna take my papers, and now we're making a signature. And I'm opening them up and stacking them into each other to make it into what is called a signature. These have 12 pieces of paper like this, so it's going to be 24 pages when it's said and done. I have made 3 piles. The middle one only has 11 pages because it has one more piece of thicker cardstock. So this is my signature, and this is what's called a signature. And you see, since I'm stacking them into each other, they're gonna be sticking out a bit. To me, this is not a problem. If you find that it's a problem, you just go in and trim this off when you've stacked them together properly. And also, I have a piece of paper. This is one of the cut-offs from my colored paper when I was making my pages. Oh my god. That I've just folded in the middle, because this is gonna be our punch guide. So I'm gonna take my ruler. I'm gonna keep it folded in half. I'm gonna take my ruler, and usually I like using inches when it comes to this. Let's see, but it's 18 centimeters. So I'm gonna find the middle, and it's a little bit over 18 centimeters. That doesn't matter. I'm gonna find the middle. I'm gonna open it up, sorry. I'm gonna find the middle, which will be somewhere along there, and 18 split in 2 is 9. And this one I think I want 5 stitches in to keep all the pages together. So I'm gonna need 2 stitches on this side, 2 stitches on this side, and then the stitch in the middle. So 9 split in 3 is 3. But if I put it at 3, I'm gonna get a hole here, and it's not gonna sew into the page. So I'm gonna go in 2 centimeters to 16, and 16 to 9 is 7 centimeters. So I'm gonna go up to 3.5 to get equal amount of space between all my stitches. And I'm gonna do the same here. Now I know I want 3.5, and then I want 3.5 again. So here I have my punch guide, and for using this I'm gonna use an awl, I think it's called, syl in Swedish, and I'm just going in and punching or piercing holes. As you can see, I'm just piercing where my guides were. Then I'm gonna take an old scrappy book I have. This one is, I bought it and I think I have never ever used it. So this is now my punch book. I'm gonna try to get my father to help me build a proper contraption to keep my pages in when I go up there next time. So you see, I've kept the middle of this together, and to help with this, let's see. I'm gonna use clamps. And I'm just gonna go, sorry, make sure my pages are somewhat straight and together the way I like them. And I'm just gonna keep one clamp like that. Then I'm gonna take my punch guide or piercing guide, and I'm gonna start punching. And I actually have a better one that's nicer on your hands. Looks like this. And I'm just lining up the edges to the edges, and I'm going in and I'm making sure I'm punching through somewhat straight through all of my pages. And I'm not gonna remove this clamp until I have sewn this signature into my book, which means it hopefully will help keeping all my pages in line, to not go totally astray when I try to sew them in. And this is not very hard, it's just a little bit fiddly. I'm sorry, my head probably got in the way, to get the holes through all the pages pretty straight. So you see, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna make my holes larger to make sure they're easy to sew through. And I'm putting all 5 of these stitches in my book because I want the pages to be securely held in place. That one is done, and I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna do all of my signatures, all 3 of them, and I'll be back. So I've got my signature all punched and clamped together. Now I'm gonna make space for my signatures. The easiest way I found for this is counting the amount of signatures I have. So I have 3 signatures, and making sure I'm measuring between the fold lines, because you don't want anything interrupting with the fold lines. And I've measured up that this is 4.6 centimeters, which makes 46 millimeters. And I always keep a calculator in my hobby room. And I'm going to split it in 3, which gives me 15.3. So I'm going to measure out 15, because that's just easier. And then I'm going to split 15 in half, which is 7.5. And that's where I'm going to put my signatures. I'm sorry, my head is probably in the way. So these lines are where I'm going to put my signatures. So I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to do this a couple of times so I just can get some lines to where I'm going to put everything. As you can see here, I tried to measure and made it wrong. I was thinking backwards, which is what I do a lot of the times. So I'm going to use and these are just lines, so I can line up my little piece of paper again, my punch guide, where I can see the line through all the holes. And I'm gonna get my book out again. And I'm just centering it. Sorry if my head, I need to be on top of this to get it straight. I'm just somewhat eyeballing, centering it here and here, since I know my pages are shorter than my spine. And I'm just gonna go in and mark out the punch holes in all 3 places for my 3 signatures. Like so, you see the punch holes, and then I'm gonna go in on the punch holes and just make them larger. So hopefully now I measured it correctly and they will fit with the stitch holes I made in my signatures. But before I go in and sew my signatures in, I'm gonna get my flap on. That sounds funky, doesn't it? Gonna put back my calculator where it lives. And for that, I've chosen just this fabric. And I'm actually gonna cover my little journal in this fabric. And just make sure I have enough so it can go, when it folds in, like so. And it's gonna be enough so it can go around a bit. And I'm probably gonna double this up to make sure it's thick enough. And for gluing this down to the fabric, I'm just gonna use ordinary wood glue, and I'm gonna go in. But before I do that, I'm gonna iron this piece of fabric so it's smooth, and then I'll be back. Bye.